It's Sarah from Roadworthy. Welcome to Weekly Reads. There is a lot of construction going on around me at this pocket park. So I'm hoping that filming this video here works. Got my hair cut this week, and because I have a lot of travel planned for later this summer, I told Jerry, hack it off. I'm not coming back to get my hair done until September. And so this morning, I blew a dry, rush out the door, and I'm realizing I look really 80s. And my kids were like, don't worry, the 80s are back. But I feel a little ridiculous. We're going to get to beauty standards later in this video, so hang tight. So what did I finish this week? So the first thing I finished was Nevada by Imogen, Binnie. This is considered a trans classic. Binnie wrote this book in 2008, and it was published in 2013 and recently re-released. And with it being re-released, Binnie wrote a new afterword for the book. And in that afterword, she makes it fairly clear that this book is really written for a trans audience, which makes it a little bit hard to review as a cisgendered person. So let me step back and say the first half of this book is about Maria, who is a trans woman living in New York City, struggling in relationships, struggling in her job, struggling with, drugs and alcohol, having difficulty connecting with other people, apparently because she's uncomfortable with herself. And the second half of this book is about James. And he is struggling with his gender, struggling with sexuality, and he lives in, rural Nevada. The two of these characters eventually meet up, and I don't want to say why or how or whatever. And so here's where I start to struggle with this book. To me, James and Maria don't feel like distinct characters. And I think that might be intentional. I think James is meant to represent Maria 10 years ago. They both feel trapped in where they are in their relationships, sort of where they're going and what they're doing. And so, again, their lives are very parallel. Maria does a lot of monologuing in this book. It's either her inner thoughts or she's monologuing to James. There's a lot about feminism, patriarchy, rejection by other members of the LGBTQ community. To me, it felt very much like Binnie's voice coming out of Maria, the character. And so again, as a novel, as a cisgendered person, this book wasn't completely successful for me. But Binnie in the afterword talks a lot about how this book was very important to the trans community. And I think as a trans person who's much more close to the issues that Maria, the character, is monologuing about, this book might feel a lot more relevant and allow trans people to feel like they're being seen and heard. So, definitely, I think it's an important book to read. Again, just rating it on a purely novel basis, to me, it's got some challenges. I finished this week Natural Beauty by Ling Huang, and this was a gift from my friend Mel for my birthday. This is a compulsively readable book, and I a little bit kind of dismissed it, but I keep finding myself thinking about it. So let me step back and say what it's about. So this is about a unnamed narrator who is a concert pianist, and she needs to give up her piano career when her parents are injured and are, disabled and in a hospital, and the narrator is trying to pay for their care. And she gets lured into accepting a position at Holistic Beauty and Wellness store, spa. It's the kind of thing where everything is, expensive and elite, and, ultra wealthy people and celebrities, fly in to New York City from all over the world to have procedures done there or buy products there. And what's interesting is, the main character starts working there. And, again, she's learning about the products, there's, this, that, and the other ingredient in this salve. And you're sort of on that journey with her. Products get sort of increasingly weird. So, for example, there's eyelash extensions made out of spider silk. And then later on, there's all these people lining up to get their emotional support ducklings. These ducklings will imprint on the customers. And there's even more bizarre stuff that I won't spoil. Those two things I cited actually have shown up in reviews, so no spoilers there. And so it's slowly revealed sort of what's going on behind the scenes at this place. It feels like, part fairy tale, part horror, part the 1985 movie Brazil. Things are just get a little bit more weird and bizarre and horrifying as the book goes on. I think Huang has a lot to say here about, obviously, beauty standards and race. There's an interesting sort of comparison made between art and beauty. Music can be beautiful, art can be beautiful, people can be beautiful, and all of these things can be commodities or accessible to wealthy people. And then it sort of gets into, the music is meant to be heard, art is meant to be seen. Therefore, beautiful people are meant to be seen. And there starts to be some interesting conversations about bodily autonomy. And how much are you doing things to improve your appearance because you want to, versus you're feeling pressured to because that's societal expectation, or that's the expectation of your very wealthy husband. There's also aspects of beauty as power, and that this is a form of power available to women. um, obsession with beauty. What is beauty? How is it used? Is your beauty something you own, or is it something that everybody else can access? You know, this book is blurbed by Francis Cha, who wrote If I Had Your Face. And this book actually did kind of remind me about that as I was reading it. So what am I reading now? I am listening to a book for the Book 2 Prize, so I won't say anything more about that. On the nonfiction front, I'm reading The Escape Artist. I'm maybe a quarter into that, so I don't really have too much to say other than it is very much narrative nonfiction, which, you know, I enjoy. And then I also sporadically picked up Dead Girls by Selva Armada, translated by McDermott. Again, I am maybe a quarter, maybe a third into this book, so I don't want to say too much about it. It is described as nonfiction novel, or Charco Press describes it as a journalistic novel. And so the obvious comparison is In Cold Blood by Truman Capote. I did not enjoy that book very much. So I'm curious how this one works for me. So, you know, we'll see how it goes. So that is all I've got to report on this week. I am looking to head out in a couple of days to go hiking. So I'm hoping that next week's weekly check-in will be at a slightly more exotic location. But in the meantime, you know, you get me again at another park in Seattle. All right, have a great weekend, everyone. Hope you're all enjoying what you're reading, and hope your weather where you are is as beautiful as mine is here. All right, see ya.